From director Wes Anderson, Focus Features and Indian Paintbrush present The Phoenician Scheme.
It's my most important project of my lifetime.
Meet Zsa Corda.
We keep getting assassinated unsuccessfully so far.
He's the most bold, most elusive, most wanted man on the planet.
Help yourself to a hand grenade. You're very kind.
Starring Benicio del Toro, Mia Threppleton, Michael Cera, Tom Hanks, Scarlett Johansson, and Jeffrey Wright. The Phoenician Scheme, rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters everywhere, June 6th.
Kick off summer with Memorial Day savings at Lowe's. Right now, get 5 Scott's Naturescapes 1.5 cubic foot mulch bags for just $10. Plus, get up to 40% off select major appliances and save an extra $50 on every $500 you spend on select major appliances $396 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 5/28. Mulch offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Fright Night time is here. That's right, we're talking about Fright Night 2 on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from Tri-State College. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we're dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. And we're going to unpack all the glorious details of 1988's Fright Night 2 in the hopes that a young co-ed's untimely end is just the beginning of the jokes we might make at their expense. And as always, there's only one person I trust to meet me at the gall darn opera on time, the one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
I'm sorry, hang on, hold on. I'm putting on my roller skates.
Okay.
So that I can more efficiently attack people because I can't run very fast.
This is true. People really underestimate the killing power of roller skates, a famously stable apparatus to attack people with.
Yeah, apparently you could sneak up on people in roller skates. I did not know that.
If you get enough fog around UCLA at the right time of night, especially something with a roof, something that will never refract that sound from the floor onto it a million times, you can totally sneak up on somebody, Gina.
Yeah, y'all don't have like acoustics or anything out there, right?
Oh no!
It's all muffled by the Pacific Ocean's air and all.
Oh, well, UCLA is definitely not buffered by the Pacific Ocean and is well inland, nestled between the 10 and the 405. But that's neither here nor there, Gina. I don't want to scare you, but we are not alone. That's right. We have a special guest. You may know her as a writer and illustrator specializing in horror film inspired imagery. Her zine, Resident Easel, combines original illustrations with deep dives into micro-genres like pregnancy horror, women doppelgangers, space horror, fairy tale horror. She's done it all. She's doing it more. And she is the one, the only, Alicia Berbenick. How are you doing today, Alicia?
I'm over here dying, laughing, and trying to be so quiet and silent while you guys are like riffing on this hilarious movie.
You do not have to be quiet. You do not have to be silent. You make your voice heard. I will not let you be silenced.
I was just trying not to crack up is all. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm even better hearing that we're cracking you up. Nothing does my ego better. Now, Alicia, we gave you a couple different horror comedies because we're doing a full horror comedy month, and we're rounding things out with one of our vampire genre films that we were specializing here in season 5. And there's a lot of vampire horror comedies out there, but because we had covered the first Fright Night, I felt like, okay, I think we need to square the circle here and bring this back and see if this qualifies where it qualifies on the scale of horror comedies. So where did you first see Fright Night 2?
This past week on the Internet Movie Archive.
Yes.
But I mean, also in particular, as a kid, as we all do, we see these movies in the VHS store. We think to ourselves, am I old enough to watch this? Is it like going to be too scary? Can I rent this? I saw Fright Night religiously as a kid. It was like one of the few almost adult movies my parents would let me watch. Fright Night 2, though, I only saw the cover of. And it wasn't until you asked me to, like, hey, do you want to watch this? I was like, oh my God, I know this cover, but I have never seen this movie.
And there's kind of a reason you've never seen this movie. And we're going to get to it. But Gina, I wanted to check in with you. Did I also spring this on you? Or had you been familiar with it from your past?
Well, I know that I'd seen it at least once before, but the only reason I remembered it was for the same reason I think is the best part about it, and that is the comic relief scenes with these sort of minions of this sexy lady vampire.
I think this movie kind of divides up the best part of the original Fright Night. You have Jerry Dandridge's sweaters, the sexual chemistry Jerry Dandridge has with anyone who is seen on camera. That's far and away like the biggest thing you can take away from the original Fright Night. He's fantastic in that. And it's, how do you overcome such a massive shadow here when you've basically taken Chris Sarandon off the table in two ways? One, his character is dead. And two, he and the original writer-producer of the first Fright Night, they were working on Child's Play while this is happening. So they're out they cannot participate. But what you can do is maybe split up all the elements of Jerry Dandridge and assign them to different characters, and maybe you get the same result. And I would argue that the Sexy Monster Squad is far and away the best thing about this movie.
Yeah, oh, definitely. It's essentially the same movie, just, with a little, you instead of like one evil Ed, you now have three evil Eds.
Right. It's a cavalcade of evil Eds. It's a buffet of evil Eds, if you were. And so the other element here that should be noted in terms of the movie's background, is that the producer, Herb Jaffe, retained the rights to both the Fright Night name and the characters, as opposed to Tom Holland. For whatever reason, he managed to get that into the contract. But Columbia TriStar, who had produced the first film, have zero desire to make another one. Like, it had done well, and it certainly made a ton of money and gained a lot of fans in its home video run. But it hadn't done Lost Boys business. And meanwhile, they couldn't make a sequel to Lost Boys. Because TriStar is not on board, the budget for Fright Night 2 goes from double the first one to a little underneath the first one. And as a result, Jaffe can't convince Tom Holland to leave Child's Play for this, which he also co-wrote. So then he brings on frequent John Carpenter collaborator Tommy Lee Wallace to help co-write the script and eventually direct this. And just a reminder, Wallace is one of the original shapes from Halloween. He was a dead pirate in the fog, and he co-writes and directs Halloween 3, quite possibly the second best Halloween movie ever made.
Yes.
There's another reason you haven't seen this movie, and that is one of the producers of and financiers of the film was murdered by his two sons.
Yes, you may be familiar with this case. Ryan Murphy made a TV show about it last year.
It's another reason why it feels like it's of the moment. And so many people over the past 2 decades have tried to resurrect Fright Night 2. It's kind of become a cause celeb, as it were. Because while it's not the greatest thing you've ever seen, it's good. Like, it is not a bad effort by any stretch of the imagination. There's one black hole of charisma at the center of it, but outside of that and the murder, it's good. So, and what movie doesn't?
Other than the murder, it's fine.
There's only 2 murders associated with this movie, and indirectly it
by Holly weird standards, that's nothing.
Truly, I mean, you could swing a dead cat and hit a murder in this town connected to a movie. We don't judge it by that. But as a result, like all the finances behind it get in gridlock, and it never really makes the jump to DVD. And it certainly never makes the jump to Blu-ray until recently when Synapse announced that they had finally secured the rights to this and our beloved Hello, Mary Lou Prom Night 2, the thing I'm most excited about in the next 2 years.
Correct.
Let's dive into Fright Night 2, because here's the thing. Like this, I don't think this is a bad idea. I think this is probably the most rational idea you could come up with, which is to invert the dynamic of the first film, where you have Charlie in Fright Night being the believer who's seen something he can't explain, but he knows it to be true. He can't disbelieve what he's seen with his own eyes. It keeps being proven to him over and over again that his next door neighbor is living with another man. Oh, also, he's a vampire. And so when sex workers start disappearing, and they always end up at Jerry Dandridge's house, he's like, well, I'm going to put 2 and 2 together. Plus, I saw them carrying a coffin. And then you have Peter as the cynical non-believer who is, of course, made a career out of killing fictional vampires, but has zero desire or mental, why would you believe in real vampires until it's proven in front of his own eyes? So to flip that dynamic, I think is a worthy choice to be made. Does it work? I mean, Gina, your prognosis, I think, is apt.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Now, Alicia, did this live up to any expectations you had put on it, given that you had an awareness that it existed, but had no preamble of, this is this lost thing I've never gotten a chance to actually watch?
It went beyond, I think, what before you were talking about maybe whether or not there was a plot that got lost. Mm-hmm. I mean, it certainly went beyond the plot, but it did exceed my expectations in terms of some of the gore and some of the special effects and the makeup. I really was very surprised at some of the effects.
Yeah.
And just how sassy the characters were. Like that you really have like a carnival of really fun people in this movie. And I was just not expecting that. So yeah, it lived up to, so I don't know that it's better than the original or the first part, we should say, but.
Oh, sure, for sure.
Yeah, but it had so many great surprises. I would definitely rewatch it.
I think there's a rewatchability to it. And the Sexy Monster Squad runs away with the film in terms of, I want to see more of those people. They actually gave me something that is different than Jerry Dandridge, in the very least that it's not, they didn't just find another incredibly hot dude with a ton of charisma because they're running around town like wildfire. But they found a different way to approach all those elements and deliver them to you. Whereas the things that are carrying over, like I love Roddy McDowall. I don't know that Peter Vincent is given a ton to do here. Mm-hmm. His character genuinely waffles despite being presented as, well, I know vampires exist and I rant and rave about it on my local, horror host show. But when the guy who proved to me vampires exist and I helped kill a bunch with says, oh, vampires moved into your building, I'm like, right, kid. Like, there's a bit of Die Hard 2 here. Like, how can the same bad thing happen to the same guy twice? And they do provide a reason. Revenge. Revenge makes sense. But then on the other half of this, right, we're still dealing with one major problem. And my apologies, but William Ragsdale is not what I would call magnetic.
No, he is a wiener in the first movie, and he's a wiener in this one. A wiener with an implausibly hotter girlfriend than the one he had the first time around. But she says, but she's the same, also essentially the same character, where she wants nothing to do with like horror and any nonsense about vampires. She's just like, nope, none of that.
And also, too frigid. He is this weird fucking horn dog who cannot turn that dial down. And you're telling me at college he is managed to find another woman who does not want to have sex with him? At that point, you got to go, all right, this is something I actually want for myself. And I think you're very, very attractive and you're obviously very smart. But sex is a component of a relationship that I would like to have. And so possibly they're not a good match.
Yeah, I don't know how many more woman elbows him and says, Charlie, seems we can have.
Or is that his thing? He wants somebody to constantly elbow him and say, no, that penis does not belong anywhere near my vagina, which is, of course, her right. She can absolutely insist upon that. It's just that how does he both find vampires and a frigid girlfriend twice? The combination of those elements is so improbable. The frigidity, sure, she makes her own decisions for her own body. That I don't have a problem with. But in combination with vampires, that's a lot to take on. My believability index is just dropping.
Do we also know or ever find out how long they've been together when this is taking place?
Alicia, you're asking for information
I'm getting
from
really
Fright Night too,
Yeah,
and it is
you're right.
Uninterested from delivering that.
Yeah, I don't think it's even mentioned what happened to the last girlfriend.
No, she survived. She's mentioned briefly during his psychiatry, session. She's briefly seen with giant teeth, but her non-vampire self is not really taken into account.
His therapy session with Dr. Pumbaa.
Yes. That's right. In between rolling over logs to find bugs, Ernie Sabella plays the most mild-mannered vampire, spoiler alert, of all time. Also, sunlight is pouring into his office.
Well, I feel like he wasn't a vampire the whole time. I think that...
Oh, do you think he was turned?
I think that he was turned at some point. Like, I don't think he started out like a vampire. Like, I don't think this was all some elaborate plan to kind of mislead him. I think the doctor started out just a person and then was eventually turned into a vampire. I mean, again, that's conjecture on my part. I have no idea, but...
Well, there's very little plot, rug to say that you're pulling it away from, because it's just like it's the original, but we've taken all the Hitchcock out of it. Like there's no discovery. We don't need to learn who Charlie is. Charlie has not changed, with the exception of deciding in the 11th hour now that he did not actually fight and kill vampires. It was delusion and he was projecting. And then he keeps saying mass hypnosis. Who was hypnotizing how many people in that first movie? How does that work?
It's just him and Peter. That's it.
Yeah.
They made a man explode in a basement. His girlfriend erased her giant teeth. And he's like, well, that's mass hypnosis. I don't think that's how mass hypnosis works. I don't think that's how anything works. No. And I'm just going to say it here. I know I'm projecting a little bit about this on the actor, but the character of Charlie Brewster, I tolerate in the first one. And I think the longer of my exposure to him, the less I like him and wish him to survive as a human being.
Yeah, it is a tactical error in any movie, let alone a horror movie, to make your hero just. And this is like this. We just dealt with this with our Patreon movie too. Last month's Patreon movie, which was Blood Beach. Where you have another one where the hero is just like, am I supposed to be rooting for this guy?
He's kind of a dink. Like
Like, why would I
do we
want
like
him to triumph over the sexy lady vampire and her fun minions?
It's like, well, didn't you like William Ragsdale before? What if he had a much bigger mullet this time? No, it's not making him better. It really isn't.
We're the only things going for him.
Yeah, what if the most fun thing about him, his character, was that which was being really into horror movies, was now gone because his doctor told him to not be into horror movies anymore.
One might argue, what is he really into now?
I mean,
what is he replaced?
Attempting to have sex with his girlfriend who does not like him.
So he's super into that, because at one point he goes, after their date kind of goes south, he says, "Sorry, things got weird," and she responds, "All of our dates are weird, Charlie." That kind of says it all.
Well, I also like
you...
they're really pushing the idea that she just is very straight-laced, old-fashioned girl. Let's say she's probably 20 in 1989, and her idea of a hot date is going to the symphony.
Which, listen, I'm not going to degrade the symphony, and that's fine if you like that, but the only reason Charlie agrees to it is because she's going to be there. That's not a basis for a solid relationship. When this movie ends with them cuddling on a lawn outside of USC, you're kind of like, what the fuck do you have in common outside of you survived a vampire attack? You're terrible for one another.
Well, yeah, there's the symphony. The symphony date comes after when she basically says horror movies are stupid and you're stupid for liking them. And it's like, okay, but yet he is still attempting to go out on a date with her.
Well, here's the thing about college that you might not understand, Gina. There's a lack of women around. And you certainly can't say, well, this isn't working out. Perhaps we should try different partners or people who aren't us. And there's zero availability of other eligible women. We only see 2 other women in this entire movie. One is a vampire, and the other one can't close her shades when she's coming out of the shower. That's it. That's what women are in this fucking movie.
Or walking home with their art project.
Now,
right.
Alicia, you are an artist. Did you go to school for artistry? Is this a self-taught thing? Did you relate to wandering out of a dorm in the middle of the night amongst the fog of UCLA and try to wind your way to a late night, I don't know, figure study class? I don't know what the fuck she's doing.
No, I'm totally self-taught, but had I been there, I would have waited for more fog. It needs to be extra dramatic.
Yes.
But yeah, in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Patrick, you went to school, college in California, correct?
No, I went to community college in California, in Glendale.
It's still college. You still went to a college campus, no?
Sure.
Have you would a college campus in Los Angeles be that dead at nighttime?
Kinda, to a degree. This seems rather abnormal. I mean, they never really say exactly where this is taking place. You kind of assume it's the same town as the original.
Because Peter Vincent still lives in the same building, and it does not seem to take him very long to get there. So, Charlie is, for whatever reason, living on campus, even though it's his same neighborhood. I
don't know. Maybe his mom sold that house.
Yeah, I was gonna say, she would, the way she was all on Twitter over Jerry Dandridge. She was a lady who was ready to go out and enjoy her life as soon as the very minute her son got old enough to not need her anymore.
She wanted to plant dynamite in Charlie's room to become an empty nester. She's just I gotta get out of this. She's
got her
so
groove
ready.
back. She lives on the beach now. She's like, Charlie, just go to college.
Go to college.
I've got this cruise I'm going on. You need to find somewhere to live, sir.
When does it reach port again? Never. We sail the oceans. We're looking for the One Piece. Just stop contacting me. You're on your own. He's going to college for trying to get laid doctorate or undergrad degree, whatever this is. It's kind of working, but also it's not really helped that they dress Charlie in the blandest fucking outfits when he's not a junior member of a ska band with skinny ties. They also put him in an all beige outfit with a coat that's tailored by a madman. It's not a trench coat, but it's certainly not a sports coat. Then paired with beige pants and a Kelly green sweater, no. I'm sorry. Is this a Sears catalog? Turn the fucking page, Brewster.
Yeah, no. People were being experimental with outfits in 1989. Like, where's your Aloha shirt, sir?
Right. I don't see a single person in an Ocean Pacific t-shirt. There's no fucking way this is taking place in 1988, 89.
Where are the board shorts, sir?
They also somehow had to make bowling super exciting for this character. So maybe that goes hand in hand.
True. But what you don't know is that there's something super exciting about that bowling alley, Alicia. And it has been the site of multiple movies, some of which we've even covered on the show, some of which we haven't. But it was seen in Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, in Teen Wolf, and My 8th Birthday Party.
I love that. I love that movie.
That's Montrose Bowl, baby. And it still exists to this day. I don't know how, but I hope it is never taken away from us. And I think this is its best usage. That scene, I think, is the highlight 100%. Of the film.
And the main reason I realized that I had seen this movie before was when you see Charlie bowling, I'm like, isn't there a scene where someone bowls with a severed head? And then I was right.
Yes. And the fact that it uses In the Midnight Hour, which is it's such a fantastic song, and it's so iconic. And I'm sure it is part of the reason. I assumed that for a long time was the reason why you couldn't release this online or on a Blu-ray or whatever, because that song must be so expensive. No, it was the murder.
No, it was the murder.
Oops, it's the murder.
Your mom loves to talk on the phone with her friends. If she ate bunches of oats instead of just oats, she wouldn't do it on speakerphone in public. Not only are Honey Bunches of Oats delicious and nutritious, but they'll help keep her from recounting the plot of her steamy romance novel while in the grocery store. Don't just eat oats, eat bunches of oats. Honey Bunches of Oats.
From director Wes Anderson, Focus Features and Indian Paintbrush present The Phoenician Scheme.
It's my most important project of my lifetime.
Meet Zsa Corda.
We keep getting assassinated, unsuccessfully so far.
He's the most bold, most elusive, most wanted man on the planet.
Help yourself to a hand grenade. You're very kind.
Starring Benicio del Toro, Mia Threppleton, Michael Cera, Tom Hanks, Scarlett Johansson, and Jeffrey Wright. The Phoenician Scheme, rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters everywhere, June 6th.
When a cold has you down, it's the little comforts that lift you up. A warm blanket, a cup of tea, and a tissue that actually feels good on your skin. Infused with aloe, Kleenex Cooling Plus Aloe provides a hint of cooling freshness to help your skin feel restored. So whether your skin is feeling dry, chafed, or irritated, you're only one wipe away from helping it feel relieved. The next time you have a cold, get a hint of instant cooling relief with new Kleenex Cooling Plus Aloe. For whatever happens next, grab Kleenex.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Right now, get a free select tool when you buy the Craftsman V20 2-pack battery kit. Whether it's the backyard, the bathroom, or beyond, Craftsman has the tools to help you power through and get the project done right. Because DIYing is unpredictable, but your tools shouldn't be. Shop Craftsman at Lowe's today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
And then, like, part of the charm of all of that is this sexy monster squad. We've been hiding the weenie on this. Let's get into them right away. You got the leader of the pack, Regine. She's exotic. She's gothic. She's into hair adornment. She's played by Julie Carmen, who has a pretty eclectic career. She danced on Broadway in Zoot Suit. She was in the original Gloria. She was in the Milagro Beanfield War. She was in John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness, which I know, Alicia, you have a perchance for.
Oh my God. She is just stunning. She's brilliant. I flipped out when I saw that she was in this. So I thoroughly enjoyed her in this.
Yeah. I mean, you can see she plays like a lot of different types of people. She really did not typecast herself. She worked a ton on television and whatnot. But like from Zoot Suit to Milagro Beanfield War to In the Mouth of Madness and this is not a straight line. She's not a type, aside from the fact that she's obviously and aesthetically a very gorgeous woman. And then occasionally in this movie, they're like, we have a hair concept for you. And I'm like, please don't. And they do it anyways. At one point, she has a poof in the upper right-hand quadrant of her head for reasons. I don't quite understand some of the hairstyles.
I think my best guess is that she's just supposed to be like a contrast, as much of a contrast as possible between herself and Charlie's girlfriend. Like Charlie's girlfriend at one point, she dresses like she's Amish for some reason. Like there's one scene where she's walking across campus and she has got like 3 layers on. And
yes.
She's very straight laced and she likes the symphony, whereas as Regine is she's coded as exotic, which means you can't really tell what race she is, and she's dark and
the girlfriend's name is Alex.
Alex is very blonde and blue eyed. Regine's very dark. Regine is a performance artist. She's like an exotic dancer without the stripping, but she exudes sexuality, whereas Alex is very uninterested in sex, possibly in any kind, certainly with Charlie. So it's a typical man stuck between light and dark.
I think it's also a flip of the dynamic from the first film. In the first film, Jerry is the guy that Charlie wants to be. And maybe towards the end wants to be with.
I mean, who's among us?
It's Jerry Dandridge.
Who's among us?
He's only human. The way that man wears a sweater on the dance floor, come on. Like, I know we said it a lot in that episode, but Jerry Dandridge is so hot.
Yes.
Please hypnotize me, Daddy. Like,
he's hot and he's knowing and he plays weird games with you.
Please get handsy.
It's dangerous.
Please get handsy with me on the dance floor.
He'll just shove you up against the wall and he'll make a little proposition to you in a dark alleyway and you're like, okay.
You want to grab me by the throat and lift me up? Go right ahead.
Do everything in front of a window so other people are watching.
Yes. I mean, this is the kind of fatal flaw that over the course of our 5th season here, I think we've really narrowed down on in terms of vampires, because every movie kind of plays fast and loose with the exact mythology of what they can do, what they can't do. And that's all, fine. Every movie gets to make its own rules. But the one thing that we've discovered throughout almost every vampire movie, and I would like to state, up until this film, was vampires are terrible planners.
No concept
They just cannot fucking plan.
Nope.
They're terrible at it. Jerry Dandridge is like, hey, it's the mid-'80s. We're at the dawn of the AIDS crisis. I'm going to move with my male friend to the suburbs. We're going to live in the same house together. And That'll be the perfect cover. No one will be talking about us.
I was going to say, this will not draw attention to me in any way whatsoever.
Like, I will totally be able to get away with eradicating the local sex worker population under the cover of night and just leave headless bodies about town. And by the time they realize it, you know, it'll be 20, 30 years down the line. Who's to say? Like, that's a terrible plan. Nosferatu, Orlok, terrible planner. I'm going to reach out to this lady on the dark mental web. And by the time I get to town, release a ship full of plague rats and say, in 3 days' time, I'm going to kill everybody you love. But if we have sex one time, and she's like, bet, don't look out the window. Sex be so good, you don't know what time it is. And by the time it's over, my vital juices is gone.
Vital juices.
And he's just a husk. He's got tiny vampire legs
And
at the end of it. All his vital juices be gone.
And a little pancake butt.
Yes. All the juice of his butt. And we knew Orlok had a juicy butt previous to this. All the rats and cockroaches in his coffin were constantly talking about it.
Yeah, I would argue that Regine is a bad planner because, like,
what?
Well, I would say because where does she find these people? Like,
the sexy monster squad? She reached out to the hottest corners of the dark web and said, are you a freaky weirdo? Do you like to roller skate? Are you kind of a werewolf, but not? Are you full of bugs? Let's get together in one limo and hang out at the bottom of an elevator shaft.
I totally get why she chose a cool sort of androgynous vampire on roller skates. I get that. I am not.
We all need that friend.
I am not sure why she chose Oogie Boogie and a goofball.
Well, let's get to this. We fully explore them as individuals. Let's start off with someone who roller skates and loves a blousy top, and that is Belle, the silent type. Belle, bends gender like Popeye bends jail bars after a can of spinach.
If you're going to have vampire minions, Belle is definitely the top of the list.
Yes. Belle is played by Russell Clark, who sadly passed in 2002, but acted in a bunch of TV and film projects, but was primarily known as a choreographer for TV, film, and stage, and especially music videos throughout the 80s and 90s. Worked for artists like Beck, LL Cool J, Michael Jackson, Gloria Estefan, Queen Latifah, George Clinton, David Bowie, and Celine Dion, amongst others. He was prolific, and I wish they were still here because they passed in 2002. I did not read a lot about their gender identity, so I don't want to make a lot of assumptions. So I'm just going to generalize whether or not this was a choice they made for this or a choice they made for their lives. That's neither here nor there. I truly wish we had more Russell Clark in our lives.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting, and I would say for this movie about 88, 89, a somewhat intriguing and fascinating choice.
The choice to be the silent one of the group, but also choose the goofiest of mannerism, like the roller skating. Alicia, the roller skating.
All I could think of was the scene in The Hunger when David Bowie's character attacks someone on roller skates, and I'm like, wait, is it that guy? Because I thought that he didn't get a chance to turn him because he ran away, but like I feel like maybe it's kind of a reference to that, but again, I'm sort of just making assumptions. I don't really, I can't really say for certain.
I think once we get that Blu-ray release, we'll start to get a more full picture of a lot of the motivations here, and I have to feel like it's like I want this person to glide. How can I get them to glide? I don't want them to fly because that's more of a Dandridge thing. maybe roller skate, maybe they wear loose blouses, maybe they have kiss after they took off their makeup hair. And between all those elements, you get Belle.
And maybe it is just a throwback to the fact that they're a choreographer and they wanted to add that element, and it's easier to add dance moves on roller skates and be different than it is to just be dancing through a scene.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know either.
I think it's just, this looks kind of weird and confusing to this, this young woman. Like, why is there someone roller skating at me?
And then you have John Grease, who's essentially still playing Laszlo Holyfield, but as a semi-werewolf.
Well, yeah, and he was a werewolf in the Monster Squad. Which again,
that's right.
again, like, is that meant that they hire him because of that?
Or as opposed to me, who I to this day, I only think of John Grease as the guy from Miami Vice. He's frozen in amber for me. I mean, he's done many things and was on one of the hottest shows of this year.
Yeah, and for the younger folk listening, he was Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite. I mean, he's been a ton of things.
But he is a reliably goofy presence in many, many things. And over the years, he's used that goofiness to sort of mask or camouflage this other evil side, whether it's a monster from here or Monster Squad or evil like on, White Lotus or whatever. He has this very unique energy, and he doesn't get whatever rope they're giving him here. He's using every opportunity he has to make his presence felt.
Yeah, I mean, despite that he's actually a villain, he's my favorite character in the whole movie.
I can see that. Yeah, because he's bringing so much energy every time he's on screen. And
he just got a very interesting tactic of making people put their let their guard down around him because he seems like a complete moron.
Right.
Like absolutely harmless.
Despite the fact that he can crawl up walls like 1979 Dracula. But there's no laser sex for him.
No.
He just gets his nails snipped off by a windowsill and flies into a bunch of bushes.
I did love that, though. I mean, it's just like, not the manicure. And he just flies off the side of the building. Like,
how do you not notice the collection of 8 giant werewolf talons by your windowsill at any point? Like, how did these get here? That seems noticeable.
Those are just my press-ons.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And then rounding out the fearsome foursome, you have Bosworth, who was designed to look like a football ne'er-do-well, Brian Bosworth of football fame. This past Christmas, my son found this terrible movie, I think on Netflix or Prime, that was like a holiday movie made for 2 dimes rubbed together real hard that Brian Bosworth was in. And like, oh, wow, things have been rough for the Boz. But this particular character is your kind of Renfeld, as it were. He eats bugs, but all the bugs are apparently juiced up. But looks of it. I mean, Brian Thompson has been known for many things. I think I know him best as the Buffy the Vampire Slayer monster specialist. Like, anytime they needed a giant monster, they just called Brian Thompson over and over and over again.
Wait. You say you know him from that more than you know him from Cobra?
Yes. I do know him for that. He's indistinguishable with Cobra because he combs his hair with motor oil and he becomes a completely different person, Gina. You can't tell the difference between him before and after. He has black hair now. He can just slip through hospitals that are covered with police escorts.
When I tell you that I saw him pop up in I forget which Coen brothers it was, but their version of Macbeth a couple of years ago, I literally did a Leo point. I'm like, what?
an axe murderer leader in Macbeth. Now you have it all. And of course,
you're moving on up, baby.
There's my other Brian Thompson thing that I'm kind of obsessed with. So Gina, I have your answer, so I'll ask Alicia. Alicia, have you ever heard of a direct-to-video movie called Nightwish?
Oh, it sounds familiar. I've probably seen the cover, but I haven't
You
seen
probably
it.
saw the cover.
Yeah.
He plays like a weirdo loon in it.
No, you're kidding.
Nah, I'm sorry. He turns into a monster at one point, and it's about 4 college students who get roped into an experiment on fear and nightmares, but they have to go to this one abandoned mine tunnel to do it. And weirdly enough, Alicia, things go wrong.
Oh my God. I need to see this.
It's terrible. It came out on Blu-ray a couple years ago, and I think I was the only person to order it. And I have not watched it yet because I'm somewhat fearful that it will not live up to my remembrance of how this might not be good, but it might be great. It is. So that's our main vampire group, although Bosworth is more of a Renfield style muscle and driver.
He just sort of like talks shit about Louis. Like, every time Louis fucks up, he just says, "Oh, you're supposed to do it this way."
You're supposed to bite her on the neck,
which I love. I just think that's funny. I'd watch a whole movie with just them two.
That's the thing.
Yes.
They're so much better than the movie they're in. Is you can't really ask for better because when you're coming in the shadow of Jerry Dandridge, like that's a lot to live up to. And I think they did such a good job of finding these other aspects that aren't direct copies of Jerry, but reflections, and then just variations on the theme that go beyond what you were presented with. And that, for whatever reason, Regine is not super affected by crosses. And so that goes out the thing that Peter, that he holds on to is like, well, I can always use this. No, not this time. And then Charlie's kind of taken out by this slow turn that she manipulates him into to sort of possess him over time. He is in rapture of her because she's been micro-feeding on him.
Right.
You have Alex and like nothing's changed with her. Like in terms of the last girlfriend, this girlfriend, she's got a different hairstyle. She does that high bouffant front, but then pulled back into a sharp braided pony with a scrunch that feels so 1989. You can just feel the Berlin Wall is about to fall.
Yeah, I can smell the Aquanet. I know that if I touch it, it's going to be real dry.
I think part of this is like it's like 10 minutes too long. I think if you tightened it up a little bit, it probably would be a little bit more fun. But I think they are trying to give Charlie a character, and unfortunately, I think it is the movie's greatest failing is that they overinvest in Charlie and underinvest in Peter. And I think if the story were more balanced here about their reactions to the situation, I think you would have a more successful film overall. That being said, you come in for the foursome, like you're going to get your money's worth.
I do have a quick question, Patrick, because you
Sure.
you do the deep dives into trivia and backgrounds about this and about the movies in prep for the show. Do you know? Is there any reason why they just didn't, considering that the movie the original ended with the suggestion that Evil Ed was still alive?
Yes.
Do you know why they just didn't pick up that thread for this one?
He did not really like the script as it was at that point.
Okay.
And I think that was before Tommy Lee Wallace gets involved. And he's also cast in 976 Evil, and he likes that better.
Got it.
And so he runs off to do 976 Evil and not this. And then they pivot they just start pivoting across the board. And it is that somewhat early development that doesn't go anywhere that sort of hamstrings them into having to find a different way to present these two characters. So part of it is, I think they needed more time to develop it, but because there's no really studio involved, and the longer you take to create a sequel to this, the less the magic of the first one is going to work. I think at that time, at least that was the impression, they felt like they had to get this movie. And so Tommy Lee Wallace knows how to make a sequel to a horror movie, despite how people received Season of the Witch at the time. It's a very, very good movie, and it's a cult classic. And I think you feel some of that vibe here. He's good at imbuing a fun time.
Right. And I do think that they kind of, in the absence of Evil Ed, who was a breakaway popular character from the first one, I think that they amped up the silliness of the Regine's henchmen.
And then with the dynamic between Regine and Charlie, you have like he's under my thrall. I can reach out to him regardless of whether or not I'm in the same room. He can't fight against me because I kind of control him. And that works to a degree. Then there's the sequence in which Regine takes over Peter's local horror host show and begins the broadcast with a thing that everyone who watches a local horror show loves: modern
I was going to
dance.
say interpretive dance, baby.
Yeah.
I was like living for all of the eagle shrieks that would go through. She was like, I'm suddenly scared of my nails.
Listen, before we had saws that went through something metal sounds that originated in like Top Chef, whenever something goes wrong, gets a sound. We had eagles screeches, so that was our go-to. That is an element I actually do think is somewhat successful. You can still tell like it's Tommy Lee Wallace joint, because he complicates, Charlie's normal approach to this, and then he complicates Peter's normal approach to this by making him a believer, but she doesn't ruin him like, I'm going to turn you into a vampire. No. He has a greater fear than that, and that is, I'm going to take away your horror host job. I'm going to remove your ability to work in this town.
I mean, honestly.
I think that's a good plan. This is a good plan from a vampire. It took a long time to get here, Gina, but I feel like, for me, until the end, this is a good plan from a vampire.
I think that her specific plan is good. I just question her henchman selection abilities.
Relying on Louis to do a lot of the legwork here is a bad idea. Keeping Bosworth on the sidelines to just try to keep Louis in line by sarcasm alone is not helping. But they they enjoy each other's company as a group. We see that when they go bowling, when they pump a dude's chest to fill up a beer mug with blood. This is good stuff.
Yes.
Oh yeah, like I said, that bowling scene is the highlight of the movie for me.
And I will say, like, I don't know that Alex is a character that I'll stand for the rest of my life. But compare this to the original girlfriend in terms of what she's allowed to do. Here, she gets to make her own discoveries. She actually examines the things that Charlie says are priority and goes, okay, there might be value in them. Learns from that, which saves the day when she stuffs Louis' mouth full of roses, or something that apparently is another thing that vampires can't stand, and it sends Louis mouth exploding out the window. She kills a vampire on her own, Ernie Sabella, who apparently is very calm and rational about his death.
Sure.
He gets stabbed with a railroad tie, and he's like, it didn't go all the way through. But I don't know why his death is so, it's more talky, but he doesn't explode. Everyone else kind of erupts in some way, shape, or form. I don't know why they ran out of money. This movie barely had any money to use.
Your mom loves to talk on the phone with her friends. If she ate bunches of oats instead of just oats, she wouldn't do it on speakerphone in public. Not only are Honey Bunches of Oats delicious and nutritious, but they'll help keep her from recounting the plot of her steamy romance novel while in the grocery store. Don't just eat oats, eat bunches of oats. Honey Bunches of Oats.
From director Wes Anderson, Focus Features and Indian Paintbrush present The Phoenician Scheme.
It's my most important project of my lifetime.
Meet Zsa Corda.
We keep getting assassinated unsuccessfully so far.
He's the most bold, most elusive, most wanted man on the planet.
Help yourself to a hand grenade. You're very kind.
Starring Benicio del Toro, Mia Threppleton, Michael Cera, Tom Hanks, Scarlett Johansson, and Jeffrey Wright. The Phoenician Scheme, rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters everywhere, June 6th.
When a cold has you down, it's the little comforts that lift you up. A warm blanket, a cup of tea, and a tissue that actually feels good on your skin. Infused with aloe, Kleenex Cooling Plus Aloe provides a hint of cooling freshness to help your skin feel restored. So whether your skin is feeling dry, chafed, or irritated, you're only one wipe away from helping it feel relieved. The next time you have a cold, get a hint of instant cooling relief with new Kleenex Cooling Plus Aloe. For whatever happens next, grab Kleenex.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Save $100 on the Craftsman V20 6-tool Power Tool Combo Kit, now at $199. No matter what the project is, Craftsman's high-quality, high-performance products empower you to build on. Stop by your nearest Lowe's store and check out the full line of Craftsman tools today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Maybe this would be a good segue into something we discussed bringing up before the show. I feel like the big show-stopping death is wasted on, not wasted because it's not the actor's fault, it's not the character's fault, is wasted on a character who gets about 3 minutes of screen time.
Brewster's college pal Richie, I assume we're
Yes.
talking about. Okay. He's played by Kill perennial Merritt Buttrick, who we previously seen in such cinematic classics as Death Spa. He runs the possessed computer system possessed by his dead sister, who, despite being confined to a wheelchair, when she sets herself on fire, suddenly her legs work.
If you've never seen the classic Death Spa, he might be known to you as being Captain Kirk's son in The Search for Spock.
Unfortunately, Merritt Buttrick literally died after making this movie and Death Spa. He would die 1 year later of AIDS-related complications. Constant reminder to the Kill by Kill audience: fuck Ronald Reagan forever. I hope you rot in hell, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Merritt Buttrick was an interesting character actor, and he was fun and shit. And yes, I think he kind of gets the short shrift here. He's certainly not an Evil Ed level character. Then again, so much of that comedic business is pushed off to the Monster Squad rather than any of Charlie's friends.
Yeah, it just his part, he is very clumsily edited down, where you have Charlie in shock seeing this character being escorted to a party by Regine's henchmen. And meanwhile, the audience is like, "Hoopst!" like, "Oh no, not Richie!" It's like, Richie, and it's like, did I fall asleep for 37 seconds? Who's Richie? And like his disappearance is kind of gets the plot rolling. His disappearance and Charlie's belief that he has seen him killed, is what gets Charlie to finally start believing in vampires again. And it's like, okay, this would have much more dramatic impact if we knew anything about this character. And again, this is not a fault of the actor. It's probably not a fault of the writer eventually, originally, but it's very, very clumsily cut down.
He's just not established enough. And he's an actor who could do comedy very, very well. He could do dramatics very, very well. He's a good guy who we should have, seen a lot more of. But I think elements like there's so much setup it's trying to give to Charlie, turning into a vampire by shades, and Peter cowering in fear in his apartment. And the one moment you should be getting more of him is when Charlie examines his neck, and in a bit of gay panic humor, he's like, you picked the wrong guy, and he walks away. But it's all overshadowed by the sort of fearless vampire killer's homage of Peter looking over his shoulder at a mirror and discovering that Regine and Belle do not show up in mirrors.
Right. But that was also, that was also how he found out that Jerry was a real vampire in the first one.
It's a reliable system for him that he trusts. So it makes sense. I will say, just not for nothing, it's just weird how many ways this movie and other movies we've covered sort of blend into one another. But the dorm room exterior of Charlie's dorm is the same place from 10 to midnight. Gina.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. What do you use this for? Jacking off 10 to midnight.
You ever seen 10 to Midnight, Alicia?
No. You guys are giving me new
run.
stuff to watch.
Do not walk.
Don't.
Saunter slowly to see 10 to midnight.
I will say that if you enjoyed the sleaziness of Maxine, you will probably enjoy this, because I feel like there's a lot of homage, not to that movie specifically, but to that kind of movie where just leaving your house is just being asked to be assaulted or killed by some pervert out being led on the streets by a bleeding heart judge.
If you have ever wondered what kind of slasher movie would Canon Films make? Oh, are they including Charles Bronson? Yes, they are. That's 10 to midnight, baby.
Yeah,
you gotta see it to believe it.
It basically recreates Richard Speck's murder spree, except in this case, the dude is naked. To add like a little bit of extra, grime to it. I say this, and it's
yeah.
it is a movie that you will find guilty for finding entertaining, but it is very entertaining.
I can't wait.
You just cannot believe the movie that's happening is genuinely happening. And then you see Charles Bronson hold up a masturbation handheld machine.
Just waving it at some dude.
What are you using this for? Jacking off? And you're like, all of a sudden, your ghost pops out of your body, and like flowers appear, and you get giant anime eyes.
Yeah, and you're like thinking, I hope this isn't the last movie I see before I die, and yet I'd be okay with that at the same time.
And the other tidbit that has to be noted is that Peter's apartment is once again played by the Le Trion building in Los Feliz here in Los Angeles. It was designed during the French chateau style period and still stands to this very day.
I mean, Peter's making good bread on that, that local access old horror movie hosting gig.
Yes. And whatever town in, what was it, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana that they were in? Like, what French style chateau apartment building do they have in Indiana? Listen, this is a movie of moments. Oh, here's the thing. Like, when this happened, I'm like, well, we have to talk to Gina about this, because Gina, we have another stellar cinematic psych hospital depiction for you to write about in your book.
Yeah, you know what we do? We have, just the inmates just allowed to wander around unattended.
Violent criminals are allowed to mop and use the buckets as weapons against the staff.
I really felt like he was giving Andrew WK. Like,
Oh,
There was, now you mention it. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
when he heard that there's a vampire killer who's just brought in, he is ready to party hard.
exactly.
All he is missing is a dirty white t-shirt, and you have an Andrew WK. If you told me that was Andrew WK, the baby version of him, I would believe you. The Muppet Babies, Andrew WK.
Sure.
Yeah, he was endearing.
It's fun. I think this is above it's fine for me to genuinely fun. There's things that I dislike about it, and it's not as good as the original. But I did want to do at least one horror comedy sequel and one vampire movie. And so this kind of, the birds to stone ratio on here was pretty high for me. So I took my shot, and I'm pretty happy. And yes, right now this movie is hard to watch, but I have a feeling it's going to become a lot easier to watch once that Blu-ray is released, and I'm sure someone will license it on Shudder or one of the streamers at some point too. It'll be made available, and I think this is worthy of people watching.
Yeah, I will. If you absolutely gotta, watch it right now, there is a very, very good rip on YouTube that I watched. Let me be perfectly clear. If I would not have expected a better version if I did actually watch one on DVD. It was a very, very good copy.
I'm pretty sure it's off of the same. My Blu-ray came from Argentina, and so I'm pretty sure it's the same rip, which is pretty good. Like it's not 4K, but it's HD, and the movie looks good. Like Tommy Lee Wallace doesn't make bad looking movies. He comes off the set of this into the It miniseries. He had a decent run there, and I'm kind of sad it didn't end up in more stuff. Like he works, consistently in TV through the 90s and onward and stuff. But I do wish he was given more of a platform. He was obviously very good at this. I don't know that he would have been Scorsese, but he made solid motion pictures.
Yeah, I mean, as far as a horror sequel is concerned, I think I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I do think that 75 to 90% of his success rate goes to the supporting cast of these minions. I think that they are all interestingly cast. I was very delighted to see Brian Thompson pop up and, not play a big, showy, monstrous character. He just sort of sarcastically commenting on everything, which I thought was very funny. Because that's the kind of undead minion I'd be. And so I think that the choice to have this sort of, androgynous minion, I think that was sort of daring for the time period. What I would say, if you like the movie Vamp, you would like this, because I feel like it lifts a lot of elements from that.
That's another, we need to cover Vamp on the show.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. The time for Vamp has come. Any final words on 1988/89? No one's quite sure. Vampire sequel, Fright Night 2.
You did just mention Vamp, and I think I read somewhere that Russell Clark did the choreography for Vamp as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
that
That makes
tie-in.
sense. That makes sense.
I mean, the guy worked, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt that. That's so fucking iconic. I love it. Even more reason for us to cover Vamp on the show.
Right.
But I think that brings us to something else we always cover, and that's choose your own death venture, or should I call it choose your own undead venture, because more undead things die in this movie than non-dead things. I'm sorry, I passed out for a second. What was I talking about? Choose your undead venture. So you can, if you want to choose your own death venture, you're pretty much stuck with being bitten on your way to class by a roller skating vampire.
And ruining your artwork with like your blood spraying all over it.
Or creating new artwork.
That's true.
Why does it have to be destruction? Why can't
That's an excellent point.
this new creation be?
I'm sorry, I'm a Philistine.
It's truly bleeding life onto the page, though, Gina. Come on.
It's a metaphor.
The way we like them on this show, metaphor with an exclamation point at the end, like the movie Airplane. Top secret. Naked Gun. So we have melted by holy water, spear gunned in the heart, fall about 12 stories up into a fountain, tummy slashed open by nails, mass bug evacuation, melt inside a holy shroud, or explode in reflected sunlight, plus holy Eucharist coffin trap. And so, Alicia, you are our guest, so I choose you to go first.
Oh, man. I mean, I'm going to go with my very first choice, which was always slashed and all of my bugs spill out because...
You want to be Oogie Boogied?
That's what I would pick. I would just be like, well, I saw them go in and now I'm seeing them go out. Like, I don't... I mean,
I guess if you're dead, you're not really digesting the bugs. They're just kind of filling you up.
I was surprised the most by that one. I just did not see that coming. Maybe I should have, and it was just my favorite. So I would choose that.
I love this.
It's very creative.
Yes, I agree. But this brings up something, Gina. I'm having a discovery in mid-conversation. My favorite kind is Oogie Boogied, another type of death on this show. Of course, get bunked is when you're killed through something else. But if you're Oogie Boogied, all of the contents of the bugs inside of you spill out, and you
are you talking like the guy in
Prince of Darkness?
Prince of Darkness.
Yes. So we have.
So we've definitely had more than one Oogie Boogie.
It's a trend. We have two. You can be Oogie Boogied.
I'm sure there's more. I'm sure there's others we're missing, but those are like the two most obvious.
Tell us other characters that have been Oogie Boogied. We've got Oogie Boogie. We've got the guy who's going to tell you something you're not going to like to hear in Prince of Darkness, and we got Bosworth in Fright Night 2. That's 3. Okay, so that's a trend, baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gina, what say you?
Well, I really appreciated that. You didn't count the people who got killed the bowling alley.
Oh, that's true. We have a decapitation, and we have a drained over your pizza oven.
I do like that this has a lot of creative vampire deaths, which again I think might have been a little nod to the Lost Boys.
Sure.
So I think I will take. I'm going to take that shroud.
That shroud effect is so cool. No one's talking about this.
I think that's a pretty cool way to go.
He gets a lit from within gelatin head and melts inside a shroud. That's the first time.
It's easy clean up. You could just like scoop up my goop with the shroud.
Yes, that's drip dry, baby. I had no idea that you could protect yourself from vampires with a blessed shroud.
I had no idea either. And I like to think of myself as somewhat of a vampire expert.
And yet, it took Fright Night 2 to come up with this stuff. And that's where I think the inventiveness of a Tommy Lee Wallace really shines. Wait a second. That kid in Halloween 3 is Oogie Boogied.
That's of course.
Holy shit!
That's the ultimate Oogie Boogie death, besides Oogie Boogie himself.
Holy hell!
You don't understand, Alicia. This is very exciting when we find trends.
I love it.
And then we proceed to drive them into the ground.
I mean, Alicia, you draw things for a living. I think a collab between the two of us that we sell and get Oogie Boogie shirt where we have 4 depictions of people having bugs erupt from their bodies.
I'm down.
If we were to say, what do you think a dirty peanut is? What would you guess a dirty peanut is?
Oh my God. Oh no, you're putting me on the spot. That's another
you
type
can
of
guess
kill?
anything.
That's another type
No. Okay, so this is basically like any kind of gross killer in a movie, like someone who's like dirty and like just lives in like a hovel or anyone like that. This came up because Patrick could not remember the name of the character Pigpen from Peanuts. So he was like, dirty peanut.
Who said dirty peanut?
You did. You said dirty peanut.
Yeah, I did say dirty peanut. I absolutely did.
So now any killer that kind of even vaguely fits that description is a dirty peanut.
Because I was thinking kid when you said peanut, and I was like, Children of the Corn, like a bunch of dusty, dirty children that are murderers.
Some of them would count. I would say maybe Malachi might count as a dirty peanut.
Malachi is definitely a dirty peanut.
Definitely not Isaac. Isaac is always very pulled together, but Malachi looks like he's from like Oklahoma in the 1930s.
Well, he's the physical villain of that. Like he gets his hands dirty. That other dipshit's just ranting and raving, wearing hats you wear to like outdoor music festivals.
Just Kubrick staring at everybody.
Just like, oh, he walks behind the rose. He walks behind the rose. Yeah, get over yourself. I hate that kid. We're going to have to fucking talk about him.
We don't.
But,
let's stop.
Okay. I mean, not here. Eventually, we're going to get to Children of the Corn, and which is the only reason we're going to talk about it is to talk about Children of the Corn 2, which has the best wheelchair death.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really good wheelchair death. Another thing we love on the show.
Yep.
Alicia, I hope you enjoyed this trip down our memory lane of a show you've never listened to before, and we're only sold to come on as a guest. But this is what we do on this show.
I have listened. I have to actually thank you for your Evil Dead 2013 episode. That was incredible. And I think I cried a little bit. So there was that. It was so good.
That movie's a catharsis. It just is. And you just never know when it's going to happen. Yes.
Yeah.
I think about it often, and I very much enjoyed that episode. Evil Dead Rise is going to be a difficult thing to have happen, but we're going to have to confront it.
Yes.
And see what happens there. Okay. The only person who hasn't chosen is me. We've already taken two really good ones. Yeah, I think I can't do the spear gun and fall from 12 stories because I cannot do heights. I think Eucharist coffin trap, that's so rarely used that she's so undone by the reflection of light legend style down an elevator shaft that she gets into a coffin and explodes. And then we get a close to a skeleton hug at the end of that. She's reaching up for hugs.
Yeah, kind of. Now, can you do an interpretive dance at some point?
Yes. I can move my body, Gina. I won school body office with my ability to dance. I studied under the tutelage of special ed videos and digital underground music videos. I know how to dance. I know how to Roger Rabbit. I know how to doogie. This is something I know how to do. Don't count me out at this age. I lost a little weight in my whips for ya, but I can move. I've been known to do it. I might not be as flowy. I might not be as skilled. I don't know that my local television audience who's tuned in to watch, Night of the Living Dead is going to be enraptured with my flowy gown moves, but maybe, who knows?
I was going to say, you might not be able to mesmerize audiences with dancing.
That's in the eye of the beholder, but I do think deep down I have the emotional weight and wherewithal to interpretively dance like a vampire. That just about does it. Josh Salas does all of our artwork. Go to RevengeBodyMemphis@bandcamp.com for this tune and all of our remixes. And go to Patreon for bonus content, extra episodes that you can only get there. And find us on social media and, shout us out, rate and review us on iTunes or talk back to us on Spotify. We love to hear what you have to think. Tell us more Oogie Boogies out there that we haven't covered yet. Alicia, tell us about what you've got going on and where people can find you.
I'm working on the 5th issue of Resident Easel horror zine. That should be out in July. It will be our Western horror issue. So that's exciting. Long time coming. You can find those in some stores around the New York City area. I have an Etsy, and all of that information can be found on bennyandthejesuits.com. And I'm on Instagram as Benny and the Jesuits with underscores.
Do it today. It's good stuff. Alicia was kind enough to send us a copy of the last issue, and I thoroughly enjoyed every page that I read. It's beautiful to look at, and I found the reviews and conversation inside engaging and fun to read, and I think people should check it out.
Oh, thanks.
Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about movies and television and pop culture on my Substack, GinaWatchesThings.substack.com. And I am mostly on Instagram these days, but also a little bit on Blue Sky under Gina Does Things.
Do it today. People, check it out. Don't worry, folks. The body count will continue. For myself, for Alicia, and for Gina, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye!
Your mom loves to talk on the phone with her friends. If she ate bunches of oats instead of just oats, she wouldn't do it on speakerphone in public. Not only are Honey Bunches of Oats delicious and nutritious, but they'll help keep her from recounting the plot of her steamy romance novel while in the grocery store. Don't just eat oats, eat bunches of oats. Honey Bunches of Oats.